Woo.
Mike was not on that entire time. How good of a commentator am I, eh? My mic wasn't even on. Been commentating these guys doing absolutely nothing. Oh, what a great commentator I am. Yeah, we're gonna...
Emoji happy tears, emoji happy tears, emoji happy tears, emoji happy tears.
I had it on mute while I was doing tier 2 and forgot to unmute it for this, so I'm a smart driver, but see Short Marcus struggling with the power there. He does a 37.7 on his medium tyres. The quickest medium tyre time so far is Jesse, 36.8. We've seen just how good he has been in qualifying so far this season. He's invalidated his lap, so he's not going to be going again. Nonetheless though, it gives me a lot more to go through now that my mic was on mute, but like I said, we are here for round 11 of OBF1 for the Singapore Grand Prix. We're surprised not to see much rain in qualifying, as it was completely heavy wet conditions for tier 2 but completely dry as tier 1 enter the track. A lot of people invalidating the laps, coming into the pits and not going again. Vlar going a bit wide into the hairpin there, but he activates the RS and flies down this back straight. But watch on board with Vlar as he finishes his lap, whilst I'll sort something out and actually mute my mic properly this time. Right, we've got it sorted now. We are all good to go. Mike is unmuted. Everything's okay. Let's get this done. Let's go back through it. I was saying before how close the Constructors' Championship is, as the top 4 teams all in a chance, all split by 29 points, and that is Ferrari, Haas, Alpha Tauri and Aston Martin. Aston Martin's late charge has been quite impressive, so all they have to do is keep this charge up and they very much could be taking the lead after this round. Only 8 drivers set a qualifying lap so far, as most have either invalidated or abandoned their laps. But KRC, he had a outstanding effort last time around to be right up there, P2. I think he finished P3 by the end of the race. So it was an amazing effort for him, and he's showing that wasn't just a one-off thing, as he comes in and does a 36.6 on his medium tyres to go P2 and put himself in a good position for the race for the time being. But of course, he's gonna quit this. I'm sure this lap will be quickly abandoned, and he'll go on to a set of softs, as mediums just aren't quite the pace that you like them to be around this track. But of course, they're a great tyre to start on. The softs wear super quickly around this track due to the hot temps around here. It's a very long race for the drivers behind the wheel, especially if there's rain. It just makes it that much longer. But the softs will wear about complete, like they will be within puncture territory around about 12 laps into the race. So that's what we're going to be wanting to look out for here, is drivers getting on the edge of getting into puncture territory and really pushing their tyres to that pit window. Of course, these guys are a lot better at saving their tyres than I am, so we'll see how that goes. But there is Chris in the wall, and H. Taylor also out of this session. I missed that CDM out of this session, so I've just missed a whole bunch of things. But a lot of drivers just like that out of the session in this race, so not what some drivers, H. Taylor would have wanted in terms of the championship. Is he's leading, he needs to be ahead of his championship rivals, but that puts him a fair bit behind his behind P2 in the championship of XD, and XD's only 9 points behind him. So if they finish where they are, XD will take the lead by a good margin. As short Marcus spins and only loses his front wing, he is grateful for that because he's only sitting P9 at the moment, which is not where he wants to be. XD improves his lap to a 136 flat. So he's increasing the comfort that he has, the cushion that he has, to the P2 McLaren of KRC, who's done a great lap on those medium tyres. Whether he will stick to those that medium lap or go on to a set of softs, we'll have to see later in the session. But one is fine at the moment. Jesse absolutely flying on his quality lap. He's on a flyer at the moment. Looks to be going quite quick. Looking at the delta though, yeah, he's not going to be there, so he's not quite pushing that much. You can see there he cuts the corner a bit there, so he's not pushing too much so far. XD at the moment has pole position in the Ferrari, a provisional pole that is, with 5 minutes left in the session. Anyone can still take that from him. He's going to be looking to make that gap on H. Taylor. H. Taylor only qualifying P6, so not good qualifying from him, and he can still lose position to some of these drivers, but of course he gets the benefit of the medium tyres, as that's what he qualified on. And I'm sure even if he finishes outside the top 10 in the end, he will still opt for those medium tyres. But Vla Shell, tier 2 driver, coming up in the Williams, and he is looking to put himself in a good position for the race. Short markers are banning laps, so not many people on laps at the moment. XD, he's not looking at his delta, he's not going to be up. Anson Spy, he's the same, so we don't really have many drivers on laps at the moment. We've got a few on out laps, one of which is SpongeBob, who's now going on to a flying lap. He'll look to do well. He was doing very good in the mid-season, showing himself some good pace right up there, put himself up on podiums, and even at some spots the top step of that podium. So SpongeBob proving time and time again he is a quick driver. He's just got to try and keep himself up there, race after race after race. He's P4 in the championship. He's still mathematically in the run for the championship. Of course, only a handful of drivers are, but it isn't as easy as it sounds to close in on these guys. He would need them all to DNF in order to close himself in, and then he would from there need to keep it nice and consistent and contend with them in the race. So it's going to be difficult if SpongeBob wants to contend for the Drivers' Championship, but I think right now he's more focused on the Constructors. He's right up there in the Constructors. He just has to he would be wishing his teammate was here this round, of course, but he just needs to be getting as many points as he can over the other teams. Not many teams with 2 drivers this week, of course. We got the like of Red Bull, McLaren, and Haas as much. So a fair few teams with 2 drivers, but there are a fair few also missing, as Anthony Spy retires from the session. He's currently sitting P3. So we're seeing a fair few drivers up there that we don't normally see up there. KRC proving that he can keep himself up there in the McLaren, and then Anthony Spy P3 putting himself up there. But of course you still got the likes of SpongeBob who can improve. There's not long left in the session though, so whether he has enough time to come in and go out again. Paul Harrison, 3/10 up through the first sector. That's enough to put him ahead of Short Markers and push Short Markers outside the top 10. That's not what he's going to want so far. There's still 3 minutes left in this qualifying session, so we're going to see a lot of drivers sit in the pits and then go out for their flying laps later on. XD currently on his out lap, so he'll be going on for his final few flies in a second. Paul Harrison now coming up to the second sector split. He's currently almost 6/10 up on his time, so he's flying at the moment. He needs to be 1.8 in order to take provisional pole position So whether he had a bad last sector or not, we'll have to see. But he's currently flying in that Williams through the last sector. He'll come, not many corners to go, using all the track, all the exit he possibly can. Try not invalidating whilst doing it though. You can see just how much track he uses through the final few corners. Paul Harrison will come up to the line, and it's a 36.4 for Paul Harrison. Great lap, and he puts himself P2, 4 tenths off of XD for the top spot. KRC still sitting in the pits, which is scary at this point, as is he going to go out again for a lap, or is he sticking it on the soft tires? Soft tires on the medium tires, sorry, as he did his lap on those mediums. So if he could very much be opting to stick it out on the medium tires. Mitch, not currently on a lap, by the looks of things he's taking it easy, so he isn't on a flyer at the moment. Mr. C Rees P11, he'll be looking to improve that. He will be wanting to put himself up in a good position so that he can help out his teammate in the championship, try and get Haas that championship constructors trophy rather than the likes of Ferrari or Aston Martin. Haas very much in it, and with two very quick drivers, it is a good possibility. Oh, went too much on the power from Mr. C Rees. Spins it, breaks his front wing. That is his qualifying done, but he's currently P9. Short Marcus has a lot of time to find. He's got to find it too. He's currently sitting P12. He wants to put himself ahead of H. Taylor in this race. He needs to be ahead of H. Taylor. It's too late in the season to be having bad qualifying runs like this. We saw he has very good race pace though, so I wouldn't count him out, especially since it's Singapore, that if he has a bad quality. But look just how much track he is using, pushing to the absolute limit here is Short Marcus, taking it beautifully as XD improves to 35.8 for pole position. KRC opting not to go out again, so he'll be the highest medium tire runner in this race. Jesse P5 at the moment, purple second sector for Short Marcus. He's not giving up here. He is absolutely flying on this qualifying lap. Oh, runs it a bit too deep, slides in through there. That's going to lose him a solid amount of time. Could that cost him pole position in this race? He was using all the track still. We didn't get to see second sector split, but as he comes through the final few corners here, has it costed him pole position in this race up to the line? And it might have just done so. He is P2, but that slide could have easily lost him the time for pole position. XD though still has an extra lap to try to go for pole, but he will have pole position in this race. It's still Vlad pushing, but he's only a 10th up at the moment and won't be going up any higher. Of course, not a good qualifying session for H. Taylor.
Antonis for the win.
Antonis by for the win. Is that what I hear there? Antonis by sitting P5. Not sure if he qualified on the softs or the mediums. I think he qualified on the softs, but P5, decent position ahead of some very quick drivers. Jesse, SpongeBob, Taylor, Mitch. A lot of these quick drivers struggling in this qualifying session, but a great qualifying from the likes of Paul Harrison, KRC, and Antonis by all putting themselves in the top 5. Still just little Jim out on track now as he'll finish. He knows he's got pole position here. It's a bit of a victory lap for pole position for the Ferrari man, but a great lap from him. Absolute dominance in qualifying to put himself 5 tenths ahead of Short Marcus in P2, but exactly what Short Marcus wanted in order to stop the likes of H. Taylor being ahead of him, because if he had H. Taylor ahead of him, it could have been quite bad for the Aston Martin man. But both the likes of SpongeBob and XD come into the pits, and that there will be qualifying done and dusted for round 11. There is the likes of SpongeBob retiring, and now we just got to wait for the Ferrari to be pulled into the pits before they will end qualifying. You can see there he goes into the pits, and qualifying should end any second now. And there it is, qualifying done and finalized. So your man for pole position is XD, who takes another pole position this season. And then it's Short Marcus coming up late and putting himself P2, so great from Short Marcus. P3 for Paul Harrison, he's season best qualifying. KRC P4, almost trying to get up there with his season best, which was P3 last run, I believe, or even P2. But he's the highest medium tire runner, so he has a lot of potential in the race. Antonis by P5, also one I think getting his season best in P5. Jesse second on the medium tire runner, another one looking good on the mediums. P6 SpongeBob on the mediums, P7 H Taylor on the mediums, P8, and then P9 went to someone I didn't quite get to see. P9 went to the likes of Mitch, and P10 Mr. Series on softs, and then Chris P11 also on softs. We'll wait for drivers to pick their strategy now. The strategy, it is a soft to medium strategy, or soft to hard, or even medium to hard. Two-stop is available, but if you get held up behind drivers, it's not very nice to you. So most drivers, I'm sure, will be opting for that soft to medium one-stop, which is very much the ideal strategy. Some will be going medium to softs. If there's rain in this race, I'm not sure if there's rain. There could very much be rain. It's not a wet track, so these guys could have gotten lucky and gotten a full dry track, but I don't see any spots of rain yet. These guys are looking quite good, but 5 seconds to race up for round 11 of OBF1 Tier 1, the Singapore Grand Prix. We go to the grid now. It's 5 red lights at Singapore. 5 red lights, and away we go for round 11 of OBF1 tier, and this is Tier 1. XD, great start, holds lead to Tier 1. Short Marcus P2, and there is KLC dropping through the field as he hits the side of Paul Harrison, drops right on back. Paul Harrison holds on to P3 though, then it's Antonis by P4, Jesse P5, Sponge P6, Taylor P7, a lot of people just holding position for the time being, but the Ferrari man still leads ahead of H Taylor. Great start from XD to hold on to the lead for the time being. Jesse putting himself up into P4 in this race, going side by side, almost pushing the likes of Antonis by into the wall, pushing him right to the limit there, and puts himself up into P4 in this championship, looking to go put himself higher up and assist his teammate all the way up in P2. Of course, these top 3 on softs, we do expect them to run away early, all 3 of them just to stick in their own DRS train, and the guys behind to do their own thing. But look at XD already pulling a gap on Short Marcus. It's almost at a second. Short Marcus will be trying his hardest to hold on to DRS, but he's got to hold on for another full lap, and it is outside a second. So unless there's a big mistake from XD, that could be Short Marcus well and truly out of DRS range. Short Marcus though does have the Williams driver Paul Harrison all over him. He's looking to get his season best result. Hasn't stepped on the podium yet this season, so he'll be looking to do so today at Singapore. They finished the first lap. The grid remains basically the same as Villar comes into is down to dead last. He had a bit of an issue there, but no, he manages to stay out of the wall, keep his wing fine by the looks of things, not have to pit, which is lucky for him. But you can see the field starting to split up as 10th backwards starting to drop off. Antonis By has dropped down to P11. There's been a mistake from the Red Bull driver, not sure what happened there, but Antonis By dropping right on back now as he'll drop down to dead last, as he was charging and attempting to get his season best result as well. He just couldn't quite hold on to it and drops all the way down to dead last now in this race. XD got a 1.3 second gap on these drivers, and Short Marcus also starting to pull a gap on the likes of Paul Harrison, but he's got one more lap before DRS is activated, and the medium tire runners are pulling themselves along with him. So this is not what these This is not what the likes of Short Marcus and Paul Harrison want, as they're the top soft tire runners along with XD, but XD's pulled outside a second, so he can just pull away, do his thing now, save ERS as he needs, worry about his pace and just cruise, worry about his tires, chilling his tires before pinning onto either set of mediums or a set of hards. I don't imagine there'll be many 2-stops throughout the field unless someone breaks the front wing or if there is a safety car, but I don't expect to see a safety car if there is no rain. That is my prediction on safety cars. But Short Marcus, we know how good he can be in the race. He saves ERS super well as saving his tyres well. I'm sure XD knows that as he's looking in his rear view mirrors. He knows that this driver behind him has great race pace, so he's trying to work around that and trying to prove that he's better in some way. But look just how close that Williams is to the back of Short Marcus. We could be seeing a pass happen on the next DRS straight. Of course, next DRS straight coming up in a few corners time, but he's dropping back still a little bit. Paul Harrison, you don't see many overtakes around Singapore as it is quite a tight track, not very long straights to do so, but if you get close enough to the back of the car, you can get it done. As we see the first 3-second time penalty be picked up in this race of Mr. C. Rees in P9. He picks up his first 3-second of the race and the first penalty of the race, as Paul Harrison now coming under attack by Jesse. Is Jesse going to try something? He doesn't. It looks like he did for a second there, but he doesn't. He might into the final few corners though. Jesse on the inside, very bold spot to go for a move, but doesn't quite get it done there. But he is helping out his teammate. His teammates now dropped Paul Harrison out of DRS, and this could be Jesse onto the podium. Both Aston Martins onto the podium, looking to take that Constructors' Championship. Look at him on the back, DRS active to the outside of the Williams driver. He'll go under braking. He's on the mediums. The grip is going to start to become more on that Aston Martin, and you can see he sails right around the outside there, and SpongeBob looking to do the same, looking to follow the Aston Martin driver. He's on the inside, he'll have the inside line. Oh, they bang tires as they come through, and SpongeBob gets the position as here comes H. Taylor looking to follow him through. Not a good few corners for Paul Harrison, dropping 3 positions now in just like half a lap's time. As will Mitch try something too. He gets right on the back of the Williams driver but can't quite get a move done, and that is not what the likes of Paul Harrison needed at all. He was sitting in a good position, but one bold move from Jesse bunched up the pack, and he just got swarmed by absolutely everyone, and he just dropped from 3rd down to P6 in the span of just half a lap. Of course, though, SpongeBob is going to start attacking Jesse now, as Jesse is outside DRS range though, but Short Marcus looking to slow down a little bit, give his teammate the DRS, help him out a little bit. These guys want to win the Constructors, even though Short Marcus has a chance at the drivers. XD, it's only 2 seconds ahead of him here. If he saves tyres right, does the strategy right, he can very much still win this race. It's not over until it is over. Short Marcus, of course, sitting 26 points back, so he needs the win. A win would be absolutely huge for the Aston Martin driver. Someone's in, and it is Short Marcus. Short Marcus into the pits for an early pit stop. 4 laps into this race, he's going into a set of mediums. Is it just a pit stop? Is it a front wing change? It looks like he's doing a 2-stop strategy here, Short Marcus. Could this be the way to go? And there's a safety car. There is a safety car. Short Marcus, perfect timing as he gets a safety car as he's in the pits. What was that for? CDM out of the race. So there is a safety car for Short Marcus. XD will be a bit mad at that, as safety cars came out at a terrible time. Will XD try to take advantage, pin onto the mediums now? Mediums won't last to the end, but the 2-stop strategy is predicted to be quicker, but you have to sit behind some drivers which will be slower for a little bit, which does in the end lose you all that time that you would think would be quicker. But with a safety car, it can make the 2-stop strategy much quicker than the one. Well, it will be interesting to see what these drivers opt to do in the race. Will they pit? Is Jeff telling these drivers to pit? Jesse is on the medium, so he won't be pitting. Neither will likes of SpongeBob, Hayes Taylor. All these medium tire runners won't be pitting. Paul Harrison's P6, so this could benefit him as he will most likely opt to pit. But a lot of these guys on the medium tires and will not be pitting for the rest of this race. But is the gap to XD enough for Short Marcus to gain advantage if he pits? I don't think it is, because XD will get the full advantage of the safety car, whereas Short Marcus only got it at the end of the pit stop. XD's in, so is Jesse. Jesse also opted to pit, so that puts H. Taylor into the lead. And what a shake-up of events there, what a turn of events there, as H. Taylor takes the lead of this race for the time being. Mitch P2, Chris in P3, he's also sitting in a career in a season best spot at the moment. KRC's recovered himself up to P4 in his mediums, and Lil Jim or XD comes out of the pits in P5 ahead of Short Marcus. Jesse pits, he pits onto hards. Short Marcus, oh, it was close, but he just comes out ahead of his teammate there. I'm sure if they were in a chat, they were asking Jesse to slow down. As you can see, Short Marcus is on the advantage tire wise, and that could be huge if this two stop is the way to go, and they do end up being a lot quicker. It gives Short Marcus the advantage of having his teammate on the hard tires to worry about. You can see there Jesse opting for hards, Mr. Series opting for hards, Paul Harrison opting for hards, and Vlar opting for hards here, but majority going mediums. Top 4 stay on their old mediums as they started on those tires, of course. It'll be interesting to see how these guys managed to get on the rest of this race. Should have gotten a water before this race. My throat is starting to hurt, but I'll leave you guys on the safety car for a bit. I'm going to go grab a quick drink. I apologize, but my throat is hurting, so enjoy a bit of safety car action for a little while. Alright, drink done and dusted. 6 lap old tyres for the top 4. XD will be looking to push himself right through, but this could end up bad for XD. He has 2 Aston Martin drivers behind him. If he gets caught up passing these guys on old mediums and Short Marcus takes full advantage, this could end up bad. Or if we see a turn 1 situation where like the KLC was turned in on, at least from the direction that I could see, and he spins, and the likes of XD spins, so he does have to be careful when making these overtakes that he doesn't screw up his race in doing so. But of course, XD is a smart driver, he knows what he's doing. He's got multiple race wins, multiple pole positions, multiple great drives so far this season. He is P2 in the championship, so he's a great driver. He knows what he is doing, and he's going to, I'm sure he's going to try and prove that even more throughout this race. He's currently P5. Those on the medium tyres getting a decent advantage, but of course not as much as those who started on the softs. Those on the old mediums can still pull out those tyres, going to a set of softs if they wish, but the drivers behind them will be going mediums and will be going quite quickly. A safety car, there is, safety car is in this lap. Safety car will be coming in We'll see how these drivers goes. They'll slow down. H. Taylor will slow the field right down, try to get underway. Of course, the run to the line quite short, so you might want to choose to pull away just before the line, as if he tries to pull away at the line, he might end up losing time. Is he gonna pull away this early? Not quite. He will catch the safety car. If you do so, you have to back up the field a bit more. Let the safety car pull away a bit more. Is he gonna go on the front show? We'll have to wait and see what H. Taylor chooses to do. But here we go. 2 more corners to go. H. Taylor weaving, getting the tyres up to 10. He needs to do well here, and he is away and away again. Green flag racing in OBF1 round 11 for the Singapore Grand Prix. We are green flagged again. Mitch on the back of H. Taylor into T1. H. Taylor holds position. No changes so far under SC, under restart conditions, but H. Taylor remains in the lead from Mitch, from Chris, KRC, and XD finishing off the top 5. Paul Harrison puts himself up in P9 as Mr. C. Rees drops down to P11. In his hat, he must have a little mistake there to lose both position to Paul Harrison and Anthony Bio. It'll be good to see the difference between the medium and the hard tyres. You can already see the likes of Jesse dropping off the back of his teammate. KRC already battling XD, but putting him in a good fight, and it's the switchback from XD to go around the outside for the next corner. Squeezed right into the wall, and he does back out of it. That was almost a great move from XD, but he's going to try again into here. He's got the inside line, doesn't quite get done. He backs out in the end. He knows it's not too smart of a move, and he'll have to sit back again. And this is what I was talking about getting caught up fighting these drivers. If Short Marcus does this right, he can take full advantage and get himself past XD. You can see just how close XD is. The tyre advantage, massive, but without DRS, XD is going to have to be using everything, whereas Short Marcus will just sit behind, save his ERS, let these guys battle, and then zoom past XD when he's low in ERS. You can see a wobble there from XD, as you can see just how much the likes of KLC is backing up these fields. This field on his one mediums. XD is still all over the back of him. He can go for a move into any corner. Will we see a T1 move? Most likely to come to the last few corners now. H. Taylor is pulled over a second on Mitch. That's good for the Hash driver. Will he go defensive? He doesn't go defensive, but XD looks to the inside, can't get it done through there. So KRC is good into T1 for the time being, but these guys all over each other. You can see why it's just so hard to overtake. There's not a long enough straight to do so, because they're now coming up to the longest straight on the track, and I'm sure XD will be looking to get the move done. XD on the outside, KRC inside. XD has his nose ahead. How is KRC under brakes? KRC slightly better. There's a lock up. He pushes XD wide. Short Marcus on the inside. What was I saying? Don't get caught up battling these guys. XD gets back on the inside though. Short Marcus ain't even done it. He backs out, and this is great defensive driving from KRC. But the switch back from XD puts him on the inside. Can KRC outbrake him into here, or is XD finally past? XD late on the brakes, pushes him completely out. Oh, and Short Marcus tags KRC around, and the aggressive driving from KRC proving to be a bit too much as he cuts across, and Short Marcus was on his inside. But is that damage for the Aston Martin driver? Could that be another nightmare for him? That was a beautiful lap of racing. You can see just how much that advantage really affects a driver. KRC putting in a great defensive drive, but in the end it just didn't work out, as XD just went deep, pushed him completely out, wasn't having none of it. He needed to get past, he was sick of staying behind him. But you can see just how slow now this Aston Martin driver is going. His teammates all over the back of him. He definitely does have some damage. You'll see he'll pull into the pit lane. Unfortunate for Short Marcus, he's going to be preying on a late safety car, or even just a safety car now, to punch the field back up and put him right back in it. SpongeBob makes his move up into P5 around the outside of Jesse. Of course, he has the tyre advantage on the medium, so that's not something to worry. He doesn't It's not a nothing that Jesse has to worry about. They're on completely different strategies, and you can see here Mitch making it much easier on the Ferrari of XD to get past, and I'm sure XD is quite happy about that. But of course this has really changed the field up. Sure, Marcus did have a look, he could have gotten past XD there, but of course then XD went for the overtake and he had to back out. So it was exactly what I was talking about, too much fighting, and he almost got past the Ferrari man, but of course front wing damage in the end has put him right to the back of the field by 22 seconds. So not what he would have wanted, and it would be a very sad Aston Martin driver behind that wheel, I am sure of it. You can see just how close XD is to the back of Chris now. He's got 6 lap fresher tyres all over the back of the sister team of Alfa Romeo coming down the front straight. They'll come, and I'm sure it'll be an easy move. These guys won't fight it too hard. 3-second time penalty for SpongeBob. Mitch enters the pits. He drops right on down. There's a yellow flag as Vlar is in the wall. He is turned around and he's gonna have to pull his Williams back around. Luckily it's right in the pits, so he can just go into the pits and fix his damage if needed. But it's a dominant it's been dominant so far from H. Taylor in his hat on this safety car restart. He's pulled a 4-second gap on the cars behind. XD though down the inside up. Oh, he pushes the likes of Chris right out. Chris fights it back though. It's looking like he's going to want to give it a good shot for position. He backs out in the end though, and he drops back behind XD, and XD will now push towards H. Taylor, and that's a fight I cannot wait to see, because we've got SpongeBob now. He's making his way through and he's coming into the mix. He's not that far off XD. Look how close he is to the back of Chris. No way is he going to try and move into there. No, he isn't. He'll stick behind. He might try it into the next corner though. Is he close enough? He needs DRS. He has DRS. Chris does not. SpongeBob down the inside of the Alfa Romeo driver, up into P3 in this race, and can now head towards XD, and SpongeBob now is in contention for the leaders. He's only 1.6 off the leader on his strategy, on that strategy, the soft strategy, compared to those who started on the mediums and chose not to pit on the safety car. And it's looking like that was the wrong choice from those guys, as they're now struggling against these guys on fresh mediums, absolutely pushing to keep them behind, to get ahead of them. But SpongeBob showing some great pace, actually pulling XD in. Doesn't even need DRS at the moment. He's just pulling in on proper raw pace. So SpongeBob quick at the moment. He's got some good pace. He could very much be in for the win here from a position that was quite far down to start on the mediums, pit again, or actually start on the softs. I think SpongeBob did. And to be where he is now, he is looking quite good in this race. He's almost there. He's just outside a second now. One more corner. Is he gonna get it? Not quite in DRS range yet. There is a detection zone coming up soon though. Can he put himself in range? Pushing to get himself in DRS. He's sitting just outside still. Coming up to the detection zone. SpongeBob does have DRS, and XD now has to look in his rear view mirrors as well as ahead of him as he closes in on H. Taylor. We could be seeing a good top 3 battle unfold here between these 3 drivers. Of course, he's dropped back outside a second now, but then he's flirting on the edge of DRS range. The next detection zone will be coming up soon. There's 3 DRS spots on this track, so a fair few for the drivers to close in, but they're not very long DRS zones for him to really gain in that big of an advantage. No DRS this time around, but he will use ERS and try to close in on the Ferrari driver. You can see there he is, right? He's in DRS range now. He is struggling though on that ERS, sitting at around about 10% if I'm reading it right on his wheel, but he does have DRS and he is well inside it now, but he does have a 3-second time penalty to worry about. He's going to activate DRS on the Ferrari. He won't be able to get a move down into here as he's not quite close enough this time around. But you can see if I was him, I'd be saving my ERS as he's running quite low and seems to be struggling on on ERS and saving his energy. Of course, saving energy is crucial in this type of thing. Save it for the overtakes or when you need to catch up for a driver and he is pushing. You can see the red light flashing, and that is an indication that they're either used up all their battery already or they're below 10% battery. So if XD knew that, I'm sure he wouldn't be pushing as much as he is. SpongeBob does have DRS though. He might get something done in DRS. 6/10 back, but this straight isn't quite long enough, so we have to stick behind yet another until the next DRS zone. We have to sit back, but they're both catching H Taylor. Does he back off? Does he just focus on catching H Taylor, passing H Taylor? It'll be interesting to see what these drivers do. I don't suspect there'll be rain, especially with the like of some drivers going into the hard tyres. It should be dry from start to finish by the looks of things. We can see just how well XD's holding on as H Taylor into the pits. He doesn't want to fight these two drivers, so SpongeBob will now pull out and will now pull his head in, and he will try to get past this Ferrari man, focus up and push past for the lead of this race. He's still sitting in DRS. XD will be looking in his rear view mirror. Will be looking in his rear view mirrors now, every corner. As SpongeBob has a look, but again, not quite close enough. You've got to be right on the back of the driver if you wish to do an overtake. The two Red Bull drivers going for it now as Mitch is likes to enters by pits. Actually, he drops down to P11. That promotes Short, Marcus over into P9, Mitch up into P8, and Vlar into P10. H Taylor dropped all the way down to P7 when he made his pit stop. Of course, that is for net position, and he has 12 seconds to his teammate. The likes of Chris, Chris sitting P4 for the time being on it. Ward medium is what he chooses to do with those. Whether he chooses to go into another set of mediums early or onto a set of softs even, or hards, or what type he goes on, whether he's two stopping or one stopping this race. We'll have to see. Will he follow H Taylor, try to copy what he is doing? We'll have to wait and see in the rest of this race, of course. But Jesse is putting himself onto the podium with H Taylor pitting, so that's a good thing for Aston Martin. But of course Ferrari leading, and then he's got an AlphaTauri P2. So still, regarding the constructors, they need the likes of Short, Marcus up there if they want to be able to do something in this race. XD still looking behind as Marcus. The SpongeBob's closing right up. He has a look, but doesn't quite get it done that time around. He is closing right onto the back of the Ferrari man though. You can see just how much more brave he is under the brakes, using everything out of this car, getting absolutely everything out of it. Got to keep an eye on H Taylor's. He comes to the field. Vlar into the pits now. He gets a 5 second for speeding in the pit lane as well whilst he's at it. SpongeBob though, still on the back of XD. We activate the arrows down here, get a little bit closer. He needs to stick as close as he can for that long straight. It's difficult to get a move done on those smaller straights, but of course on that longest straight you've got enough space to the point where you can get a move done. It's still going to make it difficult because you are trying to get it past the driver of XD, who is a very quick driver, good defensive driver as well as good offensive driver, as we've seen in this race already. And SpongeBob does have the 3 seconds, so it's crucial he gets past, or at least does enough to push XD into enough mistakes to get him a pen. But of course, it's basically back-to-back DRS zones here, with one on the front straight, then just a few corners later there is another one which keeps him nice and close to the Ferrari. 5 tenths is the gap at the moment. He needs it to be a bit closer. He's going to want to be looking at around about a 4 tenths gap. If he's brave under the brakes, there's a good corner through here, he could do it. H Taylor's is the fastest lap for the time being of a 1:38.7 in his Haas. He could be playing the fastest lap game here for the extra point. SpongeBob looks to the inside, can't make it happen that time. We'll stick behind again for another little while. Not much going on throughout the rest of the field. Hey, Shayla really closing in on his teammate. Well, his teammate just let him through. Let's see, Hey, Shayla has a lot of pace on his medium. See, he is genuinely flying in his hats. And he's gained just about, I think, almost 10 seconds on his teammate in just 2 or 3 laps on his medium. So that's some incredible pace from H. Shayla. So be where he is at the moment. Haas also fighting in the Constructors' Championship. Only one in the apart from Aston Martin and Haas, only people in the top 4 fight with 2 cars here today. SpongeBob though still on the back of XD, but not close enough. He needs to get closer, and he knows it. He's been saving up a little bit of ERS. You can see there his light hasn't been flashing so much anymore. XD has a little bit less than he does, so if he keeps saving, wastes his ERS when he has enough, he could get past the Ferrari man. He has DRS, so he will stick with him. H. Taylor is let pass by his teammate, and he's up into P6. Next up will be Paul Harrison in the Williams. We'll see whether he chooses to fight for position or not in this race, whether he will just let H. Taylor through, try to follow him for a DRS zone so that he doesn't have to worry too much about fighting them and losing time. You can see SpongeBob still all over the back of XD. Look at just how close he is. He's giving it everything. You can see just how much ERS he's used. No DRS showing, no DRS for a few corners now. The detection zone coming up just up here. He's gonna get to the detection zone. He will have DRS, of course. Under braking, he's quite close to the Ferrari man. Not close enough though to go from roof down this back straight. It's too small. He will only gain around about 2/10 of a second down here. He will be saving DRS, I'm sure, to close up later on. Villar picks up a 3-second time penalty in P12. He's on a fresh set of softs, so we might see a new fastest lap come through, but nonetheless SpongeBob still pushing behind the Ferrari. He's 5/10 back from him, 6/10 back. If he can keep this distance, he should be fine. Villar really cuts the track to get 10 seconds. He is now DNF'd out of the race. He is P12. Both the Ferrari and the AlphaTauri. Man, pit. There's insurance. How may I help you? What the fuck was that? Oh shit, PJ. I don't know if I'm gonna keep PJ. Shit. SpongeBob leads now as XD pits. It looked like he was coming in with SpongeBob, but it looks like he was coming in with XD, but then makes a late decision to pull out. It's a very weird situation there for him. He should have just committed to it, because now he's going to lose a lot of time to the Ferrari man. Here's H. Taylor though on the back of the Williams. He won't try anything through there. He might try to dive bomb somewhere else though. He's still not close enough, but he's got the tyre advantage. He's got the pace advantage at the moment. He's on a level up old hard. Is Paul Harrison, or is H. Taylor on 3 lap old mediums, so his tyres are much better than Paul Harrison's. We'll try and move into the hairpin. Not quite. He should get it done though with DRS down this straight. Will Paul Harrison fight it? It looks like he will. He's going defensive so far. H. Taylor closes up in DRS. Doesn't quite close up enough to pass the driver, to pass the Williams driver. So unfortunate for H. Taylor, will have to sit behind again. He's struggling now to get behind some of these drivers. He's still got a long way to the net leader on hards of Jesse. He is ahead of XD though still, of course, as he's been spending this time on fresh tyres. This Mr. C. Rees is in the wall. He's off track. He'll rejoin in P8, most likely be pitting off of his tyres. But here is H. Taylor. You can see Paul Harrison going defensive, doesn't want the Haas driver to get past, pushes him right out, and he sticks behind again. H. Taylor doesn't try to stick one up the inside there. He stays behind of the Williams driver. I think he's waiting for this long DRS straight. It should be an easy move for the Haas driver. Just look at just how close he is to the back of this Williams, and it should be a simple move. The Williams gives him the inside. He'll tuck into slipstream range. You can see he has no ERS left to fight with. And that is H. Taylor up into P4 in this race. And next up is Chris on 18 lap old mediums, who will probably be pitting soon onto a set of softs anyway. So really next for H. Taylor is the likes of Jesse on the hard tires, so the net leader on hards. And look at him all over the back of SpongeBob. So SpongeBob's struggling now after making the bold decision not to pit. He might be opting to go into softs instead and push towards XD that way. Nonetheless though, the Aston Martin of Jesse still all over the back of SpongeBob. SpongeBob will be looking to pit soon though, so that's something to keep in mind, because if he pits, that will just give Jesse the lead. But look just how close he is. Jesse clearly with the advantage on his hard tires now. He's all over the back of SpongeBob, not giving up to SpongeBob. Might have damage or something, because it's amazing just how much time he's losing to Jesse here. Jesse using all the try. Here he goes with overtake, with DRS, looks to the inside, sticks behind. Oh, gets right onto the back of SpongeBob there, cutting it nice and close. You can see just how close he is. He's basically pushing the AlphaTauri driver. You can see he should sail past him here as he activates the DRS, and he will do so in the Aston Martin. But you can see just how much pace. You see just how much pace Jesse has in that Aston Martin as he puts himself into the lead of this race. Chris though still opting to stay out on his mediums despite them being 19 laps old. Softs can last at least for me up to 12 laps until they get into that puncture territory range. So if you save them right, you could take them to the end premiere, but they do start to wear off and get quite bad towards like lap 8, lap 9ish. So you're gonna have to nurture them nice and well if you want to take them that long without losing too much pace. But you can see H. Taylor is closing in on Chris quite a lot. Jesse's pulled a second on SpongeBob already, so he's showing some great pace. H. Taylor still has 2 drivers to get through, but both of them ahead actually. Going to pit quite soon, most likely before H. Taylor closes in on them, unless Chris doesn't opt to pit this lap. So H. Taylor sitting in quite a good position, currently around about 10 seconds off the leader with 10 laps left to go in this race. He's gonna have to close in a second lap to beat Jesse here. H. Taylor goes up position as SpongeBob makes his pit stop, drops down, he goes into a set of softs, so he has been waiting it out for softs. XD, look at the gap XD has gotten on him though. He should have just pit with the Ferrari driver, because now he's all the way behind short Marcus even, so he should have just came in with the Ferrari man instead of making a late choice to stay out. As XD though finds himself past Paul Harrison up into P4 in this race in the Ferrari, and now he'll look to chase towards H. Taylor. He's on 4 laps older mediums. They'll give XD the slight advantage, and if he's battling these guys, it'll give him even more. You can see just how much time he's losing behind Chris, and XD will be absolutely loving this. He doesn't try anything into the hairpin, but look, Chris goes wide. He gives him a little nudge, gives him the boost. Chris go defensive. Chris gives him the inside line. H. Taylor down the inside, dives down the inside, gets the move done, runs a bit deep though, so Chris might get a bit of a cut back here, but he sticks behind, doesn't go for the move, thinks better of it. Jesse though picks up his first 3 seconds of the race, not what he wants. He'll still try to defend against H. Taylor though, I'm sure of it. He might be able to push him into a mistake and get him a 3-second time penalty as well. Some drivers though will really be hoping for a late safety car at this point. If Chris gets a safety car, he's looking really good. Same with the likes of Jesse or anyone really on those old tyres. We saw a late safety car in the last race, we only got 3 laps of racing. Right at the end of the race, we could see the same thing here. As Antonis buys on the back of Mr. C race now, he's going to look to go for a move. He'll activate DRS, doesn't use overtake though, so he'll stick behind again for another corner. He'll try it another time into the longest straight. He's on 7 lap older mediums compared to Mr. C Rees, 15 lap old hard tyres, and SpongeBob is actually behind Antonis by even now. So unfortunate for SpongeBob he's just lost so much pace from staying out compared to XD. Antonis by though down the inside on Mr. C Rees, gets the move done. Mr. C Rees picks up a 3-second time penalty in the doing. There goes SpongeBob also down the inside. Doesn't fire too much, does Mr. C Rees, as he knows these guys are much quicker. He just wants to keep himself inside the top 10 at this point, because that's the only way he's going to end up with points in this race. But H. Taylor 8 seconds now off of Jesse, so still got a lot of time to pull in on these guys. Mitch on the back of Paul Harrison, 10 lap old mediums versus 15 lap old hard tyres. How is this going to end out between these guys? We're coming to the last second now. SpongeBob picks up a 3-second time out, another 3-second time penalty, so not what he wants in his Alpha Tower. He's on the back of Antonis by now. He might try a move, gets a bit wobbly there, doesn't quite get something done. H. Taylor out of the race. H. Taylor in the wall, and it's a late safety car. H. Taylor is out of the Singapore Grand Prix championship leader, gone. And a late safety car is going to benefit everybody. SpongeBob in the pits, Antonis by in the pits, Short Marcus, he's stuck behind the safety car, he won't be coming in. But just like that, the race flies wide open. H. Taylor in the wall, championship leader, gone. Wow. H. Taylor, first DNF for the season, I believe. He had a rough Austria, but that is not what he needed. He'll drop right down to P11, which means no points. Of course, because he DNF'd as well, no points for the Haas driver, whereas XD, all he needs to do is finish 6th with fastest lap, and that there is the lead of the championship. Short Marcus, XD, what is it? XD's just gotten a penalty. How big is the penalty though? He's got a drive-through. XD's got a drive-through. So this means Short Marcus could get a huge advantage. What is going on? What is going on? There is only 7 laps left in this race, and it is just blown wide open. H. Taylor out. Drive-through for XD. Short Marcus, not a single penalty. This is what I mean. The race pace. Not a single penalty for him. None to his name. He can switch to a fresh set of tyres now and absolutely fly in the last part of this race. Jesse is in the pits. He'll pit off with his medium tyres. He's another driver looking quite good, but again, he has penalties. So that's something to keep in mind. Soft tyres for the Aston Martin driver. Chris will also come in. Another one who's benefited from this, staying at 22 laps. Anything 5 seconds, a further 5 seconds for XD. What is going on? What is going on right now? This race has just opened up completely. Anybody could win this. What is going on? Who knew Singapore could be so intense? Everybody in the pits, everybody changing tyres. Short Marcus in the pits now. He's going into softs. How much will he get held up? He comes out P6 for the time being, but race completely open now. Anybody could win this. Jesse though, he is going to be leading ahead of Chris. No time penalty for Chris though. Then it's XD. He has a drive-through which he'll have to serve after the safety car. So that's completely ruined XD's race. He could be getting only 1 point in this race with that. 3 seconds then for Mitch as well. Short Marcus has nothing, so he's looking good as well. Antonis by 6 seconds. 3 seconds for Paul Harrison. SpongeBob with 6, and then Mr. C Rees with 9. KRC with none. So this has completely opened the race up a lot. I thought it was gonna be last minute Jesse versus Hayes Taylor, but Hayes Taylor goes into the wall. He's DNF'd out of the race, and this is now wide open. We'll spend a few laps under safety car now as people will join up, and it will only be, my prediction is about 5 laps of racing, which means a few laps with DRS. Jesse though has Chris behind him. Jesse knows he's had better pace so far this season, and he can pull away from the Alfa Romeo driver, but Chris, he's sitting in a season best result at the moment, and he is hungry. He can easily win this race. He doesn't even have to pass the Aston Martin, he just has to stay within 3 seconds of him. But then he's got to worry about the other Aston Martin of Short Marcus. Is Jesse going to try and hold up the field to benefit Short Marcus maybe? Because if XD has his drive-through, XD serves his drive-through, he's well behind Short Marcus. If Short Marcus wins this race, championship wide open. There would only, if he got fastest lap, which I don't think he does, but there would be 1 point without fastest lap in between Short Marcus and H Taylor, and then XD will probably end up around 7th or 8th, which would put Short Marcus second, put like 5 points between the 3 drivers. There's still 5 rounds left after this race, and I just don't know who's going to win the championship. I don't know. It is anyone's game at the moment, and XD's just made a huge mistake. XD has ruined his race. He's tried to serve the drive-through under safety car, but the game doesn't allow that. So now he's got to serve the drive-through again, but now from last place. So I don't know if XD will be able to do much better than dead last in this race. And the Ferrari man, he's going to be kicking himself right now. Same issue happened with someone in tier 2 who had a drive through. I think it was Muhammad, I think it was, who had a drive through, had to pit, he wanted to serve it under SC, but it doesn't allow you to. And well, now he had to serve it again once the SC was done. XC is going to have to do the same. That could very much be his race done and dusted. Put Short Marcus into P4 early now. He doesn't even have to worry about passing XD. If he gets past Mitch instantly, he only has to worry about Chris, and then he can just stick behind DRS of Jesse. If Jesse picks up another 3 second, Jesse is screwed. Jesse still has a chance to win. Very much has a chance to win, but the fact that there's a chance that Short Marcus, well, not leading, but Short Marcus is basically, could be leading the championship after this round, is insane. If everything finishes where it is, it won't be that close. But if Short Marcus wins with XD P10, H Taylor no points, that is just 8 points between the top 3 drivers in the championship. There's 26 points in between them going into this round. You can see the weaving. Safety car will be in. They will get 6 laps of racing. I said they would get 5, but they're getting 6. The field is bunched up. Jesse getting ready to go. He can go when he's ready. Weaving like crazy, getting temps into those tires, backing up the field all the way. Yeah, he was gonna want to go early. When is he gonna go? How early is he gonna go? He's going now. No, he's not. I thought he was going. He's not going. He's gone now, though. Jesse's away. It's a good restart from Jesse. Then Chris, he's had a poor one. He's got Mitch all over the back of him. Then there's Short Marcus to worry about. Antis Bai is opted for fresh hearts. I don't know what Jeff has done to him, but he's screwed his strategy. Antis Bai will drop right through the field. XD now coming in to serve his drive through now that safety car is done, and he'll drop right on back down through the field. But great restart from Jesse to put himself 1.3 seconds ahead of Chris. Short Marcus still sitting P4. He needs to get past these guys. ASAP. You can see Mitch right on the back of Chris trying to get past. Can't do anything into there. They'll have to sit behind again. They're gonna wish that they had DRS right now, as Jesse has pulled a 1.5 second gap, so he's very much in contention for his first win, I believe, on the season. Oh, he's actually gotten one before, so Jesse in contention for another win this season. He needs to pull over a 3 second gap 2 Chris behind him though. It's currently 1.9 as Paul Harrison and SpongeBob side by side. SpongeBob into P6, Paul Harrison down to P7. SpongeBob looking to close up that gap, and there's a dive bomb from Mr. Series. He gets it on the inside. It's almost a beautiful move from the Hash driver, but it doesn't quite get it done. Will it get it done into the next corner though? He pulls up, he's got the inside, he dives it, but he won't quite get anything done, and it was almost a beautiful move from the Hash driver, but he has to stay behind and doesn't get anything done. Short Marcus, he is struggling on, no, he's on fresh softs. He's now 1.2 back from the likes of Mitch and Chris, whereas Jesse is still leading with a good gap. Of course, the point still stands of an 8-second differ if Short Marcus finishes P2, which at the moment it looks like he'll be finishing P3. If he does finish P3, there'll be 10 points in the championship. So this could really, no matter what happens this race, the championship is going to be shaken right up. And Short Marcus took advantage of this same situation at Austria. He's going to try and take advantage again. Here is SpongeBob getting past Anthony Spy in the Red Bull. SpongeBob now pushing towards Short Marcus. He is on an absolute charge at the moment. Be waiting for DRS to be activated, because once DRS is activated, then we'll start to see moves really happen. We might see these guys get up into a good position here. All Short Marcus needs to do is finish P2, and he takes P2 in the championship away from XD. XD though up into P8, which means Short Marcus stays P3, but only by a short amount. In order for XD to take the lead, he needs to finish P6 with the fastest lap, or P5 or higher, in order to take the lead. But Anthony Spy can't do anything in today. He'll stick behind again. Another lap. The field already splitting up quite a lot here around Singapore. These guys are all over the back of each other, trying to get moves on. Short Marcus finding some extra pace now, closing back up to these guys. He wants to get back within DRS range. When it is activated, it should be activated, I believe, on this next lap. And they'll instantly get advantage of that long DRS straight. Possibly see Mitch go for a move. He can get past the two of them. He can push towards his teammate, in which case he can still try to win this race. But you can see there it is, DRS is enabled in this race. Nothing happens into T1, so there is no DRS, and he's not close enough, but they'll stick behind. Wait for DRS now, as there's a slide from Chris. Chris loses the back end. Chris drops down to P2. Short Marcus now up into P3. Great news for Short Marcus as he puts his car into P3. He will also have DRS on the likes of Mitch, so he'll close up even more. Short Marcus with P2. All he needs to do is stay within 3 seconds of the Red Bull driver, and he puts himself into P2 in this race. XD up into P7 now. He needs one more position, fastest lap, and he takes the lead of the championship. If he just finishes P6, he'll be 1 point behind. Hey, so these guys are going to be very, very close in the championship. KLC and Paul Harrison running quite close to each other. They all have DRS down here. Will KLC be able to make a move? We saw how aggressive he was before. He showed us some good racing before, some good, clean, but aggressive defensive driving. He sets a purple first sector, but stays behind the Williams driver for the time being, because see just how close these guys are running, and the gap to Jesse isn't that big. That I can't stress that enough. If these guys close in on Jesse, you can see they're closing in now. Mitch just has some unbelievable pace. Chris was holding back these guys in space, and now that he's out of the picture, these guys are flying, and Short Marcus can just stick with him with DRS. He needs to be closer than what he is. There's SpongeBob around, and that's going to be another position for XD. If SpongeBob pits, does SpongeBob pit? No, he stays out. So XD doesn't get that advantage of P6 from SpongeBob spinning. But look at these guys as they close in on the likes of Jesse. Short Marcus, he's a smart driver. If he plays it smart, all he has to do, I know the win on track is much more valuable. That was from great English, but all he has to do is keep it clean, keep it simple, and he can put himself up. He can win this race quite easily. Both the guys ahead. 3-second time penalty. Check the penalties. Look at that. Both of them 3 seconds. All he's got to do is finish 3 seconds with his teammate, and that is the win. stick behind Mitch. Mitch has some great pace at the moment, and I'm sure he has a decent amount of ERS to use there. But so does Short Marcus. To be fair, Short Marcus with a lot of with a lot to use, of course. Short Marcus is around about 80% battery left, so he's looking really good in this race. 29 laps in, 2 more laps to go after this one. The gap down to just 2.65 between the top 2 drivers. It needs to get down lower than that if they want it. 8 tenths is the gap between Mitch and Short Marcus. They're trying to keep it close, trying to keep it within DRS range. They need to get it down to 2.4 if Short Marcus wants to win this race. It's going to be close, and it's going to come down to just pure pace between these guys and how well Mitch is driving. Mitch though driving beautifully as the gap is now down to 2.4, 2.6 it goes up to. This is a rough run through there for Mitch, a great run through there for Jesse though, but the exit from Jesse not so great. Gap dropping down to 2.3. As it stands, Short Marcus will win this race. So Short Marcus just needs to sit where he is. If he fights Mitch, he's going to lose position. He can't fight the Red Bull driver. I can't sweat this enough. If he fights the Red Bull driver, he could risk losing this race. No matter what, they'll end in a 1-2 position. So he's the one fighting for the championship. So really, in this setting, you're going to want to be, you're gonna want to sit where you are, stay where you are, and win this race. The win could be absolutely crucial for XD, and of course if they stay where they are, if they get this 1-2, not only is Short Marcus gonna close that gap up after a rough Saudi Arabia, he will also, along with Jesse, take the lead in the Constructors' Championship for Aston Martin. You can see that gap coming down to under 2 seconds now. Mitch might get DRS by the time we come around to his last lap, but he's gonna need more laps than what we have. We don't have enough laps left for Mitch to be able to do anything. He needed to not have a penalty, but unfortunately he did. Short Marcus still running some good pace behind the Red Bull driver. Don't forget about Chris. Chris isn't sitting that far back. Chris could still finish on the podium here. Get his first podium of the season. He's had a great drive. He would 100% have to be my driver of the day if he can finish on the podium, as he's driven beautifully. He ran his medium tyres 22 laps to get a safety car and now be sitting P4. Great driving. Can't really, it hasn't been faulted so far, but you know, with the way he's driving, he could still finish P2. So there's a lot to factor in here. He's driving well, is Chris, but on the last lap, anything can happen. Mitch, 1 second away from Jesse now. Jesse will be taking it quite easy to the end, trying to finish this race. As there's a yellow flag is SpongeBob out of the race. That's XD up into P6, and that puts it 1 point behind Hage Taylor in the championship. And you know what? If Short Marcus wins this, their top 3 drivers are going to be split by just 1 point going into the final round. We can see the fastest laps of these guys. Can we see the fast? Is there a way to see? Here we go. Fast lap. Jesse currently has the fast lap, so none of them actually have the fastest lap. So that means if things stay as they are, it'll be 1 point splitting the top 3 in the championship, which is absolutely huge. Mitch 1.2 back. Jesse doing well to hold to the win. It's been a flawless drive from Jesse after safety car. He got a great restart to put himself in a good position. The final few corners has been an eventful race, that's for sure. All drivers still pushing from start to finish now. I want to see the gap 2 leader. Chris is almost there for P2. He needs a 10 through these final 3 corners. How easy is Jesse going to take it? He still pushes. Jesse wins on track. Mitch P2, but Short Marcus wins the Singapore Grand Prix. It's a 1-2 for the Aston Martin team. That will put him in the lead for the constructors, with Chris taking up P3, Mitch P4, entering us by P5. XD now will come across the final few corners. He will be finishing P6. Hey, great drive from Chris there. P3, season best result, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. 100% my drive of the day. If I had to pick one, great drive on the mediums to do 22 laps on the medium tyres is absolutely insane in his Alfa Romeo. But XD will. What a race that was for Short Marcus to win. Jesse P2, Chris P3, so that will mean Aston Martin still the lead of the constructors, even the driver of the day by the game. There it is, Chris, your driver of the day, with and there are your drivers. Short Marcus winning the race ahead of Jesse and then Chris, and that does put 1 point between the top 3 drivers going into next round, or only if next round was the last round. How crazy would that be? But 1 point between all 3 drivers next round. It'd be interesting to see what they can do, but great drive by all the drivers throughout the grid. Some just got unfortunate. I wish I could see what happened with H. Taylor. We kind of missed the moment, but it was the win for Short Marcus ahead of Jesse. Chris then takes up P3 from 11th to 3rd.
Yes,
great drive.
Last round next week.
Mitch P4 enters by P5. Little XD P6. KRC P7. Paul Harrison P8. Mr. C Rees P9. SpongeBob P10. H Taylor P11. Blah P12, and then CDM P13. But if I can pull up the calendar, here we go. Next round is Russia we're going to Sochi, round 12 of 15. So there's still 4 more rounds left. I said 5, but there's still 4 more rounds left in this championship. But next round is Russia, and that has got to be an entertaining race. If we can make Singapore entertaining, Austria should be insane. But with that being said, that is me done for Tier 1 for today, and I'll catch you guys next time for Russia and this Russian